Today is one of those days where I have to sit and wait for the UPS guy to bring me a package. Now, before we get into that and what we're doing today, we have to go back to about a week ago. We are out here at Freestone Range, Possum Puncher's match, Taylor Crabtree. I've been meaning to come out here to check out the work he's put in on the range, and it's an excellent facility, so I'm looking forward to this, using this as a bit of a warm-up for NRL. So shout out to Taylor, because he actually loaded some ammo for me so I could shoot this match. I don't have any ammo. I won't have any until NRL, so I'm trying to get all this set up. This is getting data, making sure all the gear is set up. I've got a few goals for myself just to check and make sure that everything is ready for the big match in a few weeks. And then this actually will be where the NRL match is. So get an idea for what the wind does out here and some of the props we may have, some of the areas we may be shooting, just to try to get a little bit of insight, see if I can remember how to shoot.
Impact! 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 Impact!
My main goal of shooting this particular PRS match before NRL was to do a shakedown of this setup, to make sure there were no weird discrepancies, to make sure that everything was working the way it should. Nothing came unscrewed. Everything was still torqued properly. There were no weird velocity things. I know I needed to still finish breaking in the barrel, because at the time of the match, it only had about 100 to 120 rounds. So from my experience, proof barrels take about 200 rounds to be fully broken in terms of accuracy and velocity settling. So should be good there. And then the other thing was just making sure that I shook off all the rust. I haven't shot a match in almost a year, and I needed to get out and be able to see where I was. And so I wasn't really pushing any speed in between positions. I wasn't trying to rush anything. More so, I was just trying to observe what the gun was doing in terms of recoil, what I needed to work on in dry fire for recoil management, making sure data was tracking, making sure that my positions were good, seeing what the bullet was doing on impact and my wind calls. So really just being really patient and slow. But during that time, it got me thinking about changing the setup a little bit. So as you saw at the match, I was running without a bipod because I had to do that to make weight for sportsman's class. And I started thinking, I was like, man, if I'm going to be shooting a lot of PRS because I can't make a lot of NRL matches and I can't make a lot of gas gun matches, then I might as well see if I can get this to weight so that I can just shoot PRS sportsman all the time without having to take the bipod off. Because that was a weird adjustment for me, shooting off of 2 bags, stuff like that. It wasn't, terrible, but it wasn't ideal. And I started thinking about my dad. As some of you know, my dad has been building this race car for a couple years now, and he's in a stock division, and weight is a big part of that. They have a lot of restrictions, kind of like shooting sportsman or NRL Hunter open light. So I thought it'd be cool, like a cool side-by-side, that maybe I change the setup a little bit to see if I could make it fit into NRL open light and sportsman division. And that'd be fun, because I have one gun that shoots both divisions, and I just thought it'd be cool, a good way for me to relate to my dad and talk about some of those things. So that's the goal. That's what we're doing. I'm waiting on packages to come in. We're going to make some changes to this. There's some stuff I had already had on order for a few months now, and I just wasn't sure if it was going to be here in time for NRL Hunter. So we're going to find out today if I can make open light with this setup, with a few slight tweaks, a few slight changes. As I'm waiting for the parts to come in, I want to share 2 of my main goals with this setup change. One, obviously, I want to make weight for open light, which open light for NRL is 12 pounds, 10 ounces with the new suppressor allotment. There is no allotment for open heavy, so that's its own thing, and people have their own opinions about that. But for open light, I can now get closer because of that suppressor allotment, because I like to shoot with suppressors, and I don't shoot with a brake on there. Not that I'm against that or anything, it's just not my jam. Like that, I shoot suppressors to get rid of the concussive blast and sound because TBI. The other thing is balance. So with this stock, one thing I was talking to Robert Brantley about, who works at Manners, is the issue with having adjustable parts at the back in terms of length of pull and height of comb. It adds a lot of weight at the back of stocks, which makes them a little bit harder to balance, especially as you start to get into these lighter setups because there's less weight up front to balance them out. So as I start to lighten up the front of the gun, it's going to become more rear heavy. Right now, it's okay balance, but it is still a little rear biased and a little more rear biased than I would like for it to be. So we're going to do something about that. But the goal is to have a better balance, if not more forward biased balance gun. So that way, when I'm shooting suppressed, as you guys noticed some of the video, it does jump a little bit, or there's a little more recoil because it is a lighter gun and I'm a lighter person. So you notice more of that. So if I could add a little bit more forward bias to it, I can help keep that reticle down a little bit in recoil. And I think the gun will perform better for me in what I'm doing with NRL Hunter and PRS. So I have to go to open mat for jiu-jitsu and hoping that the parts will be here when I get back. And then we can, change all this and I can show you what we're doing. Jiu-jitsu is done and I am sore and tired. And fortunately, everything came in that I was waiting on, but unfortunately, I recorded this once already, but forgot to plug in the microphone, so there was no audio. So now I just have to film it again, but I didn't feel like taking everything apart and then reshooting, putting it all back together. So we're just gonna start where we're at. It's just where we're at, unfortunately, I'm sorry. But talk you guys through what I changed and why, and then what our end state is. So first thing, Phalanx Ammo came in, super excited about shooting their ammo at NRL Hunter. Have heard nothing but great things, so shout out to Mike Burtis. He is a great dude in the industry and a great mind for NRL Hunter and precision shooting and reloading, and they are technically factory ammo, so if you need factory ammo, quality factory ammo, check them out. So we talked about what I wanted to shoot and he made it happen, so got that ordered, so I'll be shooting that this year. Very excited about that. I will report back on that and how it shoots once I get some more rounds through it, but it should be great. I've shot a sample batch of it that did really well. So big shout out to them. Other things that came in, obviously you guys can kind of see it, is there is a different stock on the rifle. I had a Manners LRH NV on order. I ordered this about 4 months ago along with another stock. Now that one, there was an issue with it, so we've got to figure that out. You'll see it in a future video. But I had this on order for a few months because it was a custom order as far as length of pull. So I had to wait on it, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be here in time for NRL Hunter, which is why I purchased the Night Stalker. And if this wasn't here in time, I would have just shot with the Night Stalker, shot in open heavy, but thankfully it got here in time. But having the Night Stalker as well, purchasing that as well, allowed me to break in the barrel and the action, make sure everything was zeroed, make sure laser was lined up with what I was doing out to the distances that I'll be doing it at. So all that got squared away by having that, and that's why I bought it. So I have a plan and a purpose for that for my brother, so we'll do that for him here in a bit. But this was the stock I wanted to get because it is a lighter setup. It, as you guys saw in the video of me shooting at the PRS match, the front of the gun wants to jump a little bit more, especially because it's suppressed and I don't have a brake on it. It's not that I have anything against brakes, it's just that I have a TBI and I shoot suppressors because I want to get rid of concussive blast and sound. So that's why I shoot the way that I do, but that also adds to a little more recoil, especially with lighter guns. And I'm a lighter person, so you just see it more. By having a setup that is a little more forward biased in terms of balance, I'm hoping will allow the reticle to stay a little more on target and not want to come up as high. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully it works out. We'll see as I shoot it, and you guys will see trigger cam at NRL coming up. So that's why we went that route. Drop some weight there, but also just to allow the rifle to balance a little bit better. When I was looking at changing the stock, I was like, I can change the bottom metal as well. I had been using the Hawkins DBM M5, and I like this just because I like the way the paddle mag releases better, and that it has this little lip here, so that way it protects the mag against, when you're up against a barricade or a bag, keeps the mag from tilting and causing feeding issues. Some rifles have that, not all of them do, but as a precautionary, it's just a peace of mind type thing. But I switched over to the Hunter one because it drops about 1 ounce off. Now, is 1 ounce that much? It's not really that much, but when you're trying to drop a little over 2 pounds off the rifle, every ounce counts. So Made that change. And then the last one was we switched to the R3 Designs legs on the triple pull. So these are the old ones. And I have weights for all of these, and I'll post them up on the screen so you guys can see what they were on the scale and what the difference was. So swap these out, and I put the rubber feet on there because I think the rubber feet will probably work a little bit better than these. When we're shooting off of hoods and barricades and things like that at PRS, those don't always work as well. There it is. That is the changes I made, and I was a little bit worried. I was nervous because I wasn't sure it was going to make weight. I knew it was going to be close, but if it didn't make weight, I would have just wasted a bunch of money for nothing because, yeah. At the end of the day, it did make weight. So started off at 14 pounds, 11 ounces, I believe is where I was at, somewhere around there. And then now as it sits currently is 14.8, 14.9 is where I'm at. I wanted a little bit of wiggle room. And that's because I've got some prototype parts on there that may change. And there's nothing groundbreaking about this prototype that's on here. It's just a cool feature that I was excited about and an idea I had last year, and now it's become a reality. So I'll be utilizing this in NRL. I need to get some live fire on it. We've already got a couple changes we need to make to it, and we'll go from there. You guys will see it when it's done, but it's, again, nothing groundbreaking, just something that I thought would be useful for a lot of people. I am super stoked on the build. I do want to note, because I did say in a past video that I didn't want to build a gun for a specific division or category, and that was not the goal with this. My goal with building the rifle out was I had certain capabilities and certain features that I wanted, and I wanted those no matter what. And if I could make changes and tweaks to fit into a division, cool, but I didn't want to sacrifice certain features or capabilities. So I'm glad that I was able to keep every feature that I wanted and still make weight. So I would not have given up features like the laser rangefinder or the barrel length and things like that, or suppressor, to make the division. So I am happy that I was able to keep all the features and still make weight. So I'm super excited about that. So no matter how I perform at the match, the gun still does what I want it to do and has the capabilities and the features that I wanted it to have as I go shoot matches, as I go to classes this year and venture into some other things. So again, didn't waste a bunch of money doing that. And I'm excited because now I can shoot NRL Hunter open light, and I can shoot Sportsman's Division in PRS. So looking forward to doing both those, because I'll probably end up shooting more local PRS matches just because they're accessible for me and they align with my schedule better than NRL. There are some NRL 1 days here as well, but they're all on Sundays. And again, that's just an issue for me with my schedule. So if I can make them, I will, but more than likely I'll just be shooting a lot of PRS, and then NRL when I can make it, when it allows for the schedule. So if you guys have any questions about anything in here, about why I switched to certain things, please leave it in the comments down below, and I'll try to answer those. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, crunch up that bell so you get notified every time I upload a video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. In future videos, next two videos, I think the next one is top 10 NRL tips. So if you're looking at NRL, might be a good one to watch. That's actually because a couple buddies of mine are looking at getting into NRL this year, going to shoot with them and try to help them. So I wrote out 10 of my best tips that I learned from other guys this year or last year, and was going to pass this along. I was like, hey, you know what? It might be useful if I pass this on to other people. And then the one after that, I believe, is going to be, what do you need to get started in PRS and NRL? So if that's you, if you're on the fence, you want to know what you actually need to go shoot a match, it'll be in there. So stay tuned for that. Lots of good content coming up. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the future. I'm going to go test this fouling ammo, but it's raining, so got to wait for it to dry up.